No, I can't fuck with a random hoe. Been telling I'm headed to Canada. Got a new life, only I can imagine. Not wasting time, never knew this would happen. Watching my step, bitch, I'm busting. I'm dressing that fashion. These bitches be calling me handsome. I just been making my music. They said I can't do it, but now I'm in kids in a mansion. They being critical, I'm individual. I was invisible, Danny Phantom. They make it minimal, made it traditional. I'm at the pinnacle, covered in phantom. No, they not about it, the bottom is crab. I drip like a fountain. I'm trying to go platinum. I only rock with my day ones. No one can fuck with a random. No one can.
Tim, testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
Oh, hello. Yes, I can.
What's going on? I'm gonna go ahead and present my screen. Let's get into this, man. So we will just be going over the Pulsechain launch, the Pulsechain bridge launch, and the factors affecting the price of Pulsechain, because the price has been all out of whack. And it's kind of hard to understand why, because people don't realize that the bridge is what sets the price, and the bridge hasn't been working, so the prices are off. This text is really small, but it's kind of like a little itinerary. First, I'm going to go over what Pulsechain is. You can see this in the description of the YouTube video as well. I can go ahead and zoom in here. I'm going to go over what Pulsechain is, why it was made, how it's different from Ethereum, its potential versus other layer ones, how to get it. Some of you might already have it and not know it. If you, let's see here,
how nice is that? They might have it and not know it.
Some people listening have it sitting in their wallet right now and don't know that they have it. They don't know how much of it they have.
Why is that? How did they get some?
So they got some because when the Pulsechain network launched, all crypto wallets on the Ethereum network were sent copies of their coin. So if I had 5 Ethereum and 1,000 Dogecoin on the Pulsechain network, when they copied the Ethereum network, I have now 5 Pulsechain, because Ethereum was replaced by Pulsechain, because it's the Pulsechain network, not the Ethereum network. And I also have
Dogecoin is Litecoin based, so it's technically only the
the
Shiba Inu,
Shiba Inu.
And I don't know if Pepe.
That's why you're here, Tim. Tim's my tech guy. He catches me when I slip up. So all Ethereum based coins were copied over.
What's crazy though, dude, I think did Pepe coin make it in time? You remember Pepe coin?
Oh, that's a good point.
Dude, I think they made it in time.
Yeah, but what point before it blew up, after it blew up,
May 12th. Yeah. Oh man,
that'll be interesting, because the people that really made money off of Pepe, and were buying and selling, they would really want to see how many of their copies they have in their Pulsechain wallet.
Yeah, so interesting.
So we're gonna go over some strategy, some terms and tips relating to crypto, or if you haven't heard of what burn is before, when a token is burned. This is not financial advice, but I will talk about amateurs and what they're doing, what their strategies might be. I am not a crypto expert. I've been trading crypto since 2017, but I was doing it for dumb things, like to buy and sell things on the internet, video game related stuff. You heard about the guy that bought a pizza with Bitcoin, and that Bitcoin's now worth how much was it, Tim? 60 million. Yeah, it's too bad.
The truth is dude, he might have just went to work the next day and bought even more Bitcoin. So at the time he spent $12, maybe $30 on a pizza, and at the time we all probably spent $30 on a pizza. He was just early to the game.
Yeah,
he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, I mean, it is absolutely nuts, and it's crazy that Pulsechain has the same potential. I'm gonna just take each topic, since these are pictures, and put them on the slide here. What is Pulsechain? We'll start with that.
Yeah, and then how do people access the coins that they potentially have that they don't even know are over there on the Pulse network?
Yeah. So Pulsechain is it's a blockchain, just like Bitcoin is, just like Ethereum is, and it's its own layer 1 blockchain.
So what are some other layer ones like Ethereum, right? So like
Ethereum's a layer 1.
Litecoin is a layer 1.
Exact. Shiba Inu is not a layer 1 because it is on the Ethereum network. And you know that because you spend Ethereum for every transaction. So if you wanted to trade Shiba Inu for USDC or something else on the Ethereum network, you're not even buying or selling Ethereum. You need some Ethereum to pay the system to process that transaction. And that currency or that crypto that you're paying to process every transaction, that's the layer 1. So you need Pulsechain
because
go ahead.
Shiba Inu is basically just Ethereum with a smart contract to like act in its own particular way. So basically it's built on Ethereum. Shiba Inu is built on the Ethereum. That's what a layer 1 is. Same with Litecoin. And then technically Bitcoin is also, I mean, it's really hard to think of it as a layer 1, but it's its own layer, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if you were to go on Ethereum right now and try and buy or sell some, you would be paying fees to whatever, like if you'd have to put your money into something like Coinbase, and then you'd pay a fee to buy Ethereum with Coinbase. Then you'd pay a fee to send that over to MetaMask, where you can trade for other coins on the Ethereum network. And trading Ethereum is very expensive. So if you have hundreds of thousands of dollars, then sure, a couple $100 fee or $80 fee, you can eat that. But if you're somebody, in a second, third world country and you're putting your week's worth of earnings, maybe there's some instability, you want to protect your assets, you don't want to be walking around with like gold or cash, like an $80 fee will bar that as an option for you. So as the fees crept up on the Ethereum network, the founder of Pulsechain, Richard Hart, started looking for better ways to facilitate transactions as people are looking for an alternative to Ethereum. Now, Ethereum was a great success. I mean, it went from cents to it's close to $2,000 now. But the gas fees have started to prevent it from what it wanted to do in the first place. And it's like help provide financial freedom. It's hard when every transaction costs $80. So lower gas fees, reason number 1. Tim, would you add anything to that list?
The reasons for
Ethereum being Pulsechain being better than Ethereum. So like I'd say lower gas fees.
Gas fees is the number 1 reason.
Yeah, faster. What is faster on Pulsechain? Faster block speeds.
I mean, the idea of crypto being able to be a currency was totally destroyed with gas fees. Mm-hmm. And that's what Pulsechain was set up to do. So unless it has low gas fees, it's failed its mission, because that's exactly what it was set up to do. Yeah. If you look at Richard Hart's advertisements and everything for it, I mean, he does a lot of the general, like, hey, secure, decentralized, all this type of stuff. But really the whole message is low fees.
Yeah.
The whole reason it was set up.
Yeah. And the block speeds are faster, which is great to see your not have to wait days or weeks for your transactions. There is one hiccup with the bridge when you're sending assets from the Ethereum network to Pulsechain. So say you have an Ethereum and you want to send that to the Pulsechain right now. Pulsechain's launch saw so much success that the bridges that facilitate those transactions have been clogged. It was like with $30 million or something in a matter of days. And I'm going to pull up Twitter and like paste a tweet from just that shows the gravity of the launch. Go ahead.
Yeah. So low fees, and then also Pulsechain's burn mechanic is like the reason why it's also better than Ethereum. So those two components, basically the burn component that makes it more rare, is what's really drawing people to this new layer 1, and also that it's just brand new. So it's like, oh wow, we're in early, so we can make a lot of money if it truly has lower fees than Ethereum, and ideally like really fractional fees compared to Ethereum. It's like, wow, this is what crypto was intended to be, and it's being developed, or it was developed by Richard Hart, the guy who has proven that he can create products. So that's why, I mean, the hype is real, and everybody is Googling and YouTubing it which is why some of you are here now, of course. And
Yep.
congratulations, we're early. We should be early at least. I hope we're early.
Oh
But
my God, it's
maybe you
still
can talk about that.
insanely early. So what you mentioned was this burn. Pulsechain is deflationary, which means that over time, every transaction, some Pulsechain and PulseX are burned. It's every transaction on that network. There's some Pulsechain that's converted to PulseX, which pushes the price of PulseX up. Then it's burned. So I will use that. Like, for example, the US dollar is losing value because more and more and more of it's being printed, right? And if like more of anything, this is basic economics, more of anything over time with the same amount of money to buy that thing will decrease its value. So like they keep printing and printing and printing more money, the value of the dollar over time is going to go down. Well, they're doing the opposite here. They're not printing and printing and printing more Pulsechain and PulseX. They are burning tons of it. So
they're killing the coin. So it's the total supply is shrinking as the product is used, meaning the people who hold it are gaining more value as the product is used. So that's like a pumpamental. I think he was the original one, Richard Hart, who like invented the word pumpometrics, or what was it, like pump? I think it was something like that. Either way, that was like part of what was part of the design of Hex. And I will say, Bitcoin doesn't have any deflationary mechanic. The most deflationary mechanic of Bitcoin is people just losing their Bitcoin. And it's like, okay, so that 1,300 Bitcoin is never coming back because somebody just lost it. Who knows how much is out there? Who knows how much someone has access to? This Pulse actually has the deflationary mechanic.
And to drive this home, imagine what the US dollar would look like if instead of printing more and more and more of it to buy things driving the price of the dollar down. This is a tweet from the founder of Pulsechain, Richard Hart. As of May 14th, 6,654,000,000 PulseX burned in total. And there at that point was like 900 million Pulsechain burned in total. So PulseX is the exchange coin that the exchange uses, just like Cake is PancakeSwap's coin. Both are pillars of the Pulsechain network, and both are being burnt at scorching speeds, which is going to drive the price up in the long run. But everyone has their eyes on Pulsechain right now because it's the layer 1 coin. But as people get comfortable with Pulsechain and its network, they're going to have to make transactions. And those transactions, there will be a small fee, 0.22%, that will be converted to PulseX. And a fraction of that will be burnt over time. And even though a fraction of 0.22% seems like a little bit, the network is going through so many transactions that 6,654,000,000 PulseX was burnt.
So that's another design component built to create value for people who are holding the coin. So that's why, like, even with all of the attraction that this layer 1 has gotten from the very beginning, well, after Richard Hart, because he's proven he's successful at developing things, but it's like designed to become more and more rare, which is awesome for people who can now, once the bridge is set up or whatever, be able to purchase into this asset. So congratulations, you're here in a bear market, and you're going to have a great access to something that in the next bull market will certainly pump, and just by itself, it's deflationary.
Exactly. It's insane. So unless you want to add anything to what Pulsechain is, we can move on to how do we get Pulsechain.
No, I think we covered pretty much everything it is. Hey, Jose Arteaga is in the chat. Shout out, Jose. Shout out to you.
That's my hero. 13K
Jose Arteaga
subscribers.
Yeah, he's in Mexico, and he makes videos of how you can escape to Mexico or just move to Mexico.
He's on the channel. I'm gonna give him a congrats.
I've been telling him all about Pulsechain.
Let's see, I'll go back to the private chat. There we go. All right, so how do I get Pulsechain? So let's number these. 1, you might have it. All wallets holding Ethereum on the Ethereum network when Pulsechain forked from the Ethereum network, it copied its code in its wallets. So, like I said, if I had 5 Ethereum, I now have 5 Pulsechain. If I had 1,000 Shiba Inu, I now have my same 1,000 Shiba Inu, but also 1,000 P Shiba Inu or Pulsechain Shiba Inu in my wallet on the Pulsechain. You could think of it as like a parallel universe. It splits, so you don't lose any of anything. It's duplicated into that parallel universe of Pulsechain.
And that's why Richard says it's the biggest free airdrop in the history of the world, because it's basically an entire copy of everything that you had on Ethereum, but now you have it as Pulse, which almost should be illegal. I mean, I don't know how he, you know what I'm saying? Like the fact that he did that, pretty incredible. So everybody who held their Pepe coins on Ethereum network, congratulations, you own P Pepe.
They got lucky. They got lucky with the timing too, because I didn't know when this thing was going to launch. I thought it was going to launch a year ago, but they wanted to make it as seamless as possible. And they did a great job of that. But the problem was they created so much excitement that the bridge got jammed with $30 million of waiting to go into the ecosystem. So, I mean, there's almost no.
So how do you get your Pulse chain? Like right now, really, you can't take USD and actually move it over into the Pulse network and purchase this. What you have to do right now is ratio trade, and there will be some strategy talk on that. So right now, all you can do is take your P Pepe. You're going to take your P Pepe and you're going to switch it over to like the Pulse, and then be able to, collect some Pulse via ratio trading. Now, who in their right mind who has Pulse would actually swap it for P Pepe? You might have to give up a lot of P Pepe to get just your Pulse. So just warning.
Yep, and by P Pepe we mean I'm sure you've seen in the news, the Pepe coin has done thousands of X's in the past weeks or months, and so when the snapshot happened and the Pulsechain network branched off of the Ethereum network with all the same wallets and duplicating the same coins to their Pulsechain versions, Pepe was hot, and there were a lot of people buying and selling it. So that might be something to look into. If you were one of the people who had it in your wallet at the time of the snapshot, because you might have some of your counterparts looking to trade Pulsechain for it on the Pulsechain network.
Look at the live comments coming in. Jose says, that's awesome because now people do not have to worry about switching over. It's already done automatically. What a boss. And then also Jose says, people will literally abandon their projects on ETH and just continue forward on Pulse. And with all the excitement that there's been on Pulse, I do wonder, like, for future developments, because the smart contracts on Pulse, lower fees, smart contracts, hype.
That is true.
There might be the next P Pepe or the next Pepe coin might be launched on, because I already saw there's a Richard Hart meme coin already, and it's actually doing pretty well ratio trading wise. So that's interesting. But there is a meme coin on the Pulse network that's just being ratio traded right now.
And I wonder if it is Richard's, if it's anyone to do with his team's coin, like his actual coin, or if it's just, who knows. But anything with his name on it is probably going to go up. It's what we're about to see once this bridge gets up and running at full speed is going to be absolutely ridiculous. So
I would imagine that, like, what happened with that, not to drag us into that corner, but probably some whale with a lot of liquidity basically set that thing up and was trading it through a bot himself, and now is just trapping people to buy their damn meme coin and just pulling value from it. That's probably what happened, or some type of coordinated thing, because but don't buy that meme coin. There's actually great coins to buy with like burn mechanics on them. Stick with those if you're actually going to try ratio trading. And how do I get Pulsechain? You sort of have to wait for the bridge to be set up if you actually want to move in with new fiat, transfer it over to one of those assets over there. PulseX, PulseHex, Pulse.
Yep. Exactly. So if you didn't have Ethereum or ERC20s at the time of the snapshot, how do I get Pulsechain now? Yikes. Not the best position to be in, but if you want to get Pulsechain now, what you'll have to do is use the bridge to send over wrapped Ethereum. So it's as simple as going to metamask.com, creating a wallet, buying Ethereum using either MetaMask, MoonPay, Coinbase, Binance, or crypto.com. I don't even know if Binance is still around.
It is.
And
I hope.
yeah,
I hope it's still around.
Trade your Ethereum.
What the hell? Is it
Trade
not
your
around?
Ethereum for wrapped Ethereum, and then go to the bridge, which is bridge. Let's see, Pulsechain bridge. I have it right here. Pulsechain bridge.pulsechain.com.
Yeah, I logged on to that the other day, and I was so lost at first. Are you gonna walk people through like a tutorial, or would that be like a separate video? You might want to do that in like a separate video or something.
I'll do it in a separate video because I want to be thorough with that, and sharing dual screens. I don't want them to see, you know, secret wallet addresses and stuff jumping between windows. But
one thing you might want to add here is that if you held Ethereum-based coins and want your Pulse copies on the Pulse network, because it's a total copy of the Ethereum chain, so epic. But the problem is if you held it on an exchange, the exchange is the one that held the keys, so they're the ones that hold the Pulse copies. So really, if you're going to be looking for your Ethereum-based copies, you had to actually have them in a wallet.
Yeah. And that would be very unfortunate because, as Richard Hart says, not your keys, not your coins. Meaning, if your coins are held in a wallet that you don't have the seed phrase for, like if you paid Coinbase and now they tell you you have 2 Bitcoin, Cash App, exactly.
Robinhood.
If you paid a company and they told you you have them in your wallet and you don't have the seed phrases to that wallet because the company owns that wallet, then unfortunately they got the snapshot and you didn't. But hopefully that's not too many of you. So if you don't have any Pulsechain, you're gonna have to use the bridge to send over wrapped Ethereum after buying Ethereum, which there are thousands of tutorials out there on. Send it over the Pulsechain network, trade it for Pulsechain, or just trade Ethereum for wrapped Pulsechain on the Ethereum side, because you can wrap, just like you can wrap Ethereum. Wrapping is something you need to do to send a asset to a different blockchain. So you can wrap Ethereum, send it to the Pulsechain. You can wrap, Ethereum, send it to a different blockchain. Anyways, you can swap Ethereum for wrap Pulsechain, or you can wrap Ethereum, send it to the Pulsechain network using this bridge right here. And then you can trade that for Pulsechain on the Pulsechain network with minimal fees. Let's see. That would probably be the best way, but odds are if you are listening to a crypto stream, you probably had some Pulsechain or some Ethereum-based coin or Pulsechain already in your wallet because you had Ethereum or an Ethereum-based coin that was transferred to the Pulsechain network. So if I had a fraction of an Ethereum and 1,000 or 10,000 Shiba Inu, I would just connect my MetaMask wallet to the Pulsechain network and I would sell them for Pulsechain. Again, that's not financial advice, but if I wanted Pulsechain and had that, it's already on the Pulsechain network. So you don't have to worry about waiting in line to bridge an asset over using that bridge, which I said is very congested right now because of the hype around Pulsechain. But yeah, those are the two best or main ways to acquire Pulsechain. Should we do a little brainstorming? Okay, here, I'll let you decide, Tim. Should we do a little brainstorming session? Factors affecting the Pulsechain price. What might we anticipate?
Yes.
Let's do that. Now for the fun stuff.
Yes.
Okay, let's rate these out of 10. So if we think of something, like we will think of an item that is going to push the Pulsechain price up, indicated by a green arrow, and then we'll rate it like, okay, this is going to be huge. Like, for example, let's do the first one kind of in a tutorial mode. Actually, you know what? I'm going to have to Control-C, Control-V. All right. People who missed the snapshot. So 2 years ago, Pulsechain was in the making, and people could send money, could sacrifice crypto, say I sacrifice $2,000 in Ethereum, I could actually buy Pulsechain at the rate of 100 Pulsechain per penny. So there was about $600 million plus sacrificed for Pulsechain. And that was 2 years ago. I didn't know what Pulsechain was back then, so I couldn't do that. So I don't have any Pulsechain that was allotted to me from that sacrifice. So pushing the price up are people like me who are buying Pulsechain because they missed the sacrifice 2 years ago. There was no other way to buy Pulsechain directly other than that sacrifice 2 years ago. So it's actually going to be one of the stronger forces because I was part of this arrow. Not saying how much I bought, but we were part of this arrow pushing the price of Pulsechain up because we bought Pulsechain. So let's rate this out of 10.
Ratio traded it, correct?
Exactly. Yep. So we, because like if everyone is, so what I did was I had Hex at the time of the snapshot. My Hex on Ethereum got snapshotted over to the Pulsechain network because my wallet was duplicated during the snapshot, which we explained earlier. And I had Hex. My Ethereum got converted to Pulsechain, but I wanted more. So I swapped my Hex for Pulsechain. And I'm going to swap more, and that's going to keep driving the price.
What that's doing is sending the ratio. It's like, hey, the ratio. There's a lot of people who want it, so they can ask for more through the ratio trade because more people are willing to pay more to access that and get that coin.
Yeah, let's break this down. So if people want to know numbers, so like we'll say we'll round to the nearest 100, but 600 mil plus sacrificed for Pulsechain back then, but there was only 40,000 wallets in the sacrifice. Like, so let's see, people who
really? There's only 40 some wallets.
40,000 wallets. Yep.
Oh, 40,000.
40,000. No. Those are some ballers. 40 wallets, $660 million.
Damn.
You got Mark Rubin.
True believers.
Yeah. So 40,000 wallets sacrificed for Pulsechain. And we're going to compare that to PulseX, which was 120,000, but that's later. So only 40,000 wallets sacrificed.
So they're the ones that actually got the Pulse, and right now they have this desirable asset because not a lot of people have it over there. Correct?
Exactly.
By the way, total supply of this, do you know? Of this?
Oh, it's Pulse? In the trillion. It is up there.
It's up there. Okay,
and honestly, I'd probably only confuse people by talking about it.
How much is? So there's a certain amount that hasn't been distributed yet and would just be for sale. Is that correct? Like once this whole thing
Exactly. Yeah, there's a liquidity pool. There are other ways to earn it, such as becoming a validator, which we can get into later. If you become a validator, you can help process transactions and you get a percentage of the fees, but you need to put up 32 million Pulsechain to do that. So it's a bit of a barrier to entry, but it tells the network that you are not a malicious actor that's going to try and, slow down the system. You're not some, Bitcoin maxi that just wants to set up a bunch of validators and try and, manipulate the system, which, there are so many validators already that would be impossible anyways. And I can show you a visual for this. Actually, I'm on Richard's Twitter right now. Remember how I said 32 million Pulsechain is the barrier to entry to becoming a validator? Well, this was May 15th, like around the day it launched. I'm just going to flash this picture, then delete it. But there were already 5,751 validators, each of which put up 32 million Pulsechain. So it is insane the amount of people who are willing to contribute to the infrastructure of Pulsechain. And that was like day one. Let's see, day one, day two. All right. Anyways, only 40,000 wallets sacrificed. So if you're like me, you missed out and you needed Pulsechain, you missed out on the sacrifice. So you're buying it, pushing the price up afterwards. So what do you want to rate that? 7 out of 10 as far as a market?
That's very, yeah,
it's up there. Okay. So over the past 2 years, I've watched Richard's followers go from thousands to, oh God, what are his followers? His follower count. He's the founder of Pulsechain. He's at 321.3 thousand followers. So here's a visual. I've watched his followers climb from thousands to 300,000. Each of these people presumably are excited about the projects that he is working on. Because again,
what's crazy is like, because he created Hex and it was such a huge success. Because even back then, I was involved in crypto. I was buying Tron, and it was I'm very sad to admit it, but I never was I listened to Richard, and I actually didn't. I liked him. I didn't think he was a scammer or anything like some people were saying before he launched the original Hex coin on the Ethereum network.
Yeah,
I wasn't involved to the point where I was purchasing any type of Hex, and because he has had such success with Hex, everybody's just waiting to get involved in this Pulse network. And now that it's launched, there's so much hype about it. And like you're saying, the Pulse is the Pulse that people sacrificed 2 years ago.
So
people want it.
Yeah, we have not seen the price increase in Pulsechain because of, again, like Richard says, the price of an asset that has the potential to 1000x in price is short-term volatility. Like, you're not going to buy the Dow Jones and have 1000x potential. You're going to need to find things that are more volatile, a small business.
Well, that's
maybe by the name of Tesla or Amazon on day one or year one or week 30.
That's what I was so crazy was that, like, with this Pulsechain, you go to Richard's Twitter and you see some of the questions people are asking and some of the stuff, and it's like, man, it's just like already like so hyped that people like my grandma are trying to buy it, because no offense, but that's usually when that it's like, all right, this is a little too hype for the X gains that I really would prefer. You know what I'm saying? Because as soon as your grandma is asking about Dogecoin, you should be hitting the sell button, right? So somewhat, like you're saying, with all the volatility of pricing, if you're going to buy the Dow Jones early, that's obviously where the biggest gains are. But at the same time, sometimes you have your grandma asking about Dogecoin, and you think, hey, man, maybe it's time to sell my Dogecoin. And some of the people on Richard Hart's Twitter aren't exactly what I would call early investor mentalities, where they're like very strategic and smart. So I do worry about that.
That's a great buying opportunity, actually, because Richard Hart, he's like, I might get flack from saying this, but I would call him the Donald Trump meets Elon Musk of crypto, because he's a flashpoint for some people. The old money doesn't like him. The powers that be aren't going to like him when they find out about him as this blows up. And so you have a chance to invest or to buy Pulsechain before the old money before the old money have to realize when we prove it with numbers and results.
Especially with the burn mechanic, it's like, hey, don't be worried about some grandma randomly in the bear market trying to learn how to buy it, because it does have this burn mechanic. But can you talk a little bit about like these people who sacrificed these only $40,000 wallets that sacrificed for Pulse 2 years ago? They're the ones that got honored with like being gifted or whatever. I don't know what the true word would be, but they're the ones that have now Pulse on the Pulse network.
And exactly. Yep.
Can you talk about the pricing of like what it's going for right now if somebody wanted to ratio trade, and how that lines up with how you think it might grow in the future?
Yeah, we can take a look at that. Let's see. Yeah, that would be a perfect time. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to pop over to PulseX, which is the exchange, just like Uniswap is the exchange on Ethereum, or PancakeSwap is the exchange on the Bitcoin network. I'm going to go to app.
We have comments coming in. Let's say hello. Okay, so
PulseX.com.
Comments coming in, and if some of these are David's friends or anybody's friend.
Yeah. Okay. So Tim, I would call you my real estate mentor, because you live real estate. Even though you're younger than me, you literally, when we worked together, back in your 9 to 5 days,
Correct.
You would go home and go on Zillow for hours on end looking for like the next best deal on properties. So I've been trying to pick your brain about real estate, and we've kind of shared a passion for crypto, and I've had the time to look into this stuff. Tandy, one of the guys that commented, I would say he is also not a mogul, but he knows his way around real estate as well. So nice to see him in the chat. He says, would love it if you could find out how to buy 32 mil Pulse to run a validator and the cost of doing so. So why don't we look at that?
So that's what's interesting, because the bridge isn't set up. It would all be ratio trading to obtain the 32 million Pulse.
Very risky. Let's see. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to make sure my wallet's not connected because I don't want to tell.
You know what I would love to know is how much those validators are earning.
Yeah, I could probably take a look on Twitter and come back and go into more detail about validators. Right now, though, I feel like the market that needs more info after I answer Tandy's question are the people who don't have Pulsechain, don't have much Pulsechain, want more of it, and are waiting for the bridge. Like, what do I do now that I have it? They don't know about PulseX. They don't know about PHEX.
But I feel like what Tandy's looking for is he's looking for that opportunity. He's thinking
ahead.
If he can quickly become a validator here, there's probably a lot of earnings to be made. And I would be curious too to know what is the earnings of a validator right now. But who's to say? I think the validators are too busy making money to tell us, because I'm not one. Unfortunately, I'm not a validator. Damn it. I was thinking about becoming one.
Yeah. So what you would need here, let me make the screen bigger. I can't even see. All right. You would need 30. Let's see here. Well, first of all, you would need 32 million. 6 Pulse. It says it's $3,200 for 32 million Pulse. That's what you need to become a validator and earn the API that's all over the place. Again, these numbers are not correct because the bridge has not allowed money to come in and set the price, which is what markets do when you can buy and sell something. Price is established based on supply.
That wouldn't be bad though. The 3,200 wouldn't be bad.
God, yeah, I would have a validator in a matter of days. If
so, what's the catch?
So the way I understand it, you put up 32 million Pulse, and if you are a malicious actor, you try and tell the network to send your wallet a bunch of money, and obviously it's blockchain. It will catch the error, and you will get punished. They will take all or some of that $32 million if you try, and essentially it's like robbing a bank, but with crypto. You'd have to be a lot smarter than me to even attempt that. But essentially you're putting up money saying, hey, I'm creating a validator in good faith. I have the money to help with the computing power required to validate the transactions on the Pulsechain network. And so that's what creating a validator does. You need there's you can go to, let's go to pulsechain.com. You can become a validator right here to help secure the Pulsechain network. And that was the tweet I showed you earlier. There are already thousands of people with the money to buy computers powerful enough to become validators. There's 8,559 validators already, which is ridiculous. Total Pulsechain staked 273 billion. That is absolutely nuts. And then Tim, could you read? I think I missed some comments by Terrell. Could you read those while I go let my roommate in quick? And then Tandy, did you want us to hit on anything else relating to validators, or did you want us to move on? The next topic I wanted to talk about was how do I get Pulsechain and pre-bridge strategy? Yes, the bridge is already up, but it is jammed right now, so the prices aren't set. So I'm going to talk about some pre-bridge strategy. So I will be right back, Tim, if you just wanted to read Terrell's comment. And Tandy, let me know if I was thorough enough with the validator thing, because I know you still have questions, and I probably can't answer a lot of them because Tandy knows his way around crypto as well. Be right back.
All right. Yes. Oh, shoot. I was muted. I'm so sorry. I'm back. I'm sorry. I couldn't hear you. Okay, so let me see what some of the people are saying in the comments. So, Tandy Man, if you're into real estate, man, I love real estate. I love real estate.
All right, I'm back.
Okay, perfect.
All right, let's see. Yeah, did you read where are you at with Terrell's comments?
I just read through Tandy Man's real quick. Let me see,
Okay.
Terrell. My hex is stuck in the bridge. I think a lot of people's hex is stuck in the bridge for right now. It'll, we're reassured that it'll all be made correct as soon as those transactions come through. And I have heard people say that they've gotten their, if they submitted them fast, they've started being sent through the bridge. So it's only a matter of time for you.
Let me let me share something. I'm going to show you the amount of money that is going to blow this network up. That is currently stuck in the bridge right now, just because they did not expect this much demand for it. Some are even saying that they did this on purpose so that the smaller fish have a chance to sell, or people can lock in, like the weak hands can be shaken out without too much volatility. But Chrome tab, we're looking at Richard Hart's Twitter. Again,
And
Richard
then
Hart
Terrell
is the founder
says,
of Pulsechain.
hard to get a 1-for-1 ratio 3200 on Pulse right now. Exactly. So if you wanted to put that 3200 towards a validator to like become the validator, it would probably end up costing you at least
The reason it's so cheap is because so few people have gotten dollars through the bridge that the people that have been able to, buy Pulse. That 32 million Pulse
it for,
really cheap.
for the dollars that have been able to come through, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So exactly. Yep. Tandy is exactly right. Hard to answer questions when the network doesn't give us the correct info. And again, if you got your money, like if you wrap DAI or some, stable coin worth $1 and you got it through the bridge, then, it's like winning the lottery, because now you can buy the Pulsechain to set up a validator for 32, for $3,200.
Right.
All right. So if we take a look at this visual, so we can look at bridged and claimed. So like people have sent 449 million hex to the Pulsechain network. They've only been able to claim 12 million worth of it, or 91 million of the 449 million hex. DAI, worth $1 each, hence the 11 mil matching here. 11 million's been sent, 1.4 million's claimed. So it seems like between 10 and 20% of the money sent from the Ethereum network has actually been claimed in the Pulsechain network. And that's the money that once processed through the bridge will set the prices correctly. So the prices are not right if you go to app.pulsex.com. So keep that in mind. Because it is really exciting to see that we could just chuck $3,000 in there and be a validator and earn that, stable income in terms of Pulse. So you're earning Pulse, and you might be earning, dollars worth of it, or maybe even hundreds of dollars worth of it if you can, like on a weekly basis. But if that asset 100x's, then way back a year ago, like a year from now, we can say, okay, a year ago when we were making $100 worth of Pulse, that's multiplied by 100. Because the asset over time increased in price in that theoretical example. So a couple other numbers: $8 million in USDC has been sent from the Ethereum network, 1.7 million claimed. 3.8 thousand Ethereum worth 6.9 million has been sent, and 21% of that has been claimed. So it's exciting that so much of this volume has happened and the prices aren't even set yet. Honestly, I don't want people to be Oh, go ahead, Tim.
With with all of us, with our strategy here, we know that all this money is moving into the Pulse network. So how can we benefit from knowing that right now? Maybe it's by capitalizing on some of the ratio trading if you happen to have Hex Ethereum at the time. And
okay,
so,
let's say you were smart enough to own Hex at the time of the snapshot. If you were smart enough to own Hex at the time of the snapshot, I'm gonna go to app.pulsex.
because we know all this money is slowly moving over the bridge, it's slowly being allowed into the network.
Okay, exactly.
What does that mean?
Say, because Pulsechain and PulseX, the two coins being viewed here, you can't. It did not get snapshotted over from the Ethereum network because they are new on the Pulsechain network. They didn't exist on the Ethereum network before the launch of the Pulsechain network. So Hex, the project by Richard Hart, who was the founder of Pulsechain, he did have a project on the Ethereum network that from its low to high did over a 10,000x, not 10,000% increase, but like a multiple of 10,000. Like a multiple of 2 is 200%. He did a multiple of 10,000 with Hex. If you had Hex in your wallet at the time of the snapshot, it would tell you your balance right here. And you would be able to swap it for Pulsechain now without having to use the bridge that I just showed you that's jammed because of all the attention on Pulsechain. So you'd be able to, if you had Shiba Inu, you'd be able to import that token address on the Pulsechain network. It would show you your balance. So if you had 20,000 Shiba Inu at the time of the snapshot on May 10th, you would take that Shiba Inu or Hex or Ethereum based coin. Say I had 20,000 Hex, you would get 1,984 Pulse for that, and you'd pay a small transaction fee. Now, again, these prices are not correct. To show you how off these prices are, think about this. Again, do not look at the prices on app.pulsex.com because the market has not had a chance to set them yet. To drive that point home, one Hex will get you 99 Pulsechain, but it says one Hex is worth 1 cent, right? And then it says one Pulsechain is worth 0.9 cents. So how is one Hex worth 1 cent and 99 Pulsechain, which is the equivalent to one Hex, worth 90% of 1 cent? Doesn't make sense, right? So again, we're going to wait for the bridge to process all those transactions that I just showed you on Richard Hart's Twitter. All this money jammed up is going to come in, buy, sell, and then you're going to know the price of the assets on Pulsechain more accurately. And again, they're going to change over time. But
in the meantime, you could potentially make a bet and say, I'm going to ratio trade some of my
Pulse, in that example, Yep. So if you sacrifice for PulseX, you will have a balance of PulseX once you connect your wallet to Pulsechain. If you held ERC20s, then you're going to go to, I'll show them how. You go to Richard Hart's Twitter. Make sure it's the right Richard Hart with 321.3K followers. Don't go to any imposter's Twitter because there are people who pretend to be figures in the crypto industry and trying to scam you. You would go to Richard Hart's Twitter, make sure you have the right Richard Hart. Take a look at the link, twitter.com//Richard Hart win. And you would go down to when the Pulsechain network launched, which was, I think the snapshot was taken on the 10th, and the network launched around the 13th, I believe. And then he posted the info that you have to enter into MetaMask. It's as simple as copy pasting. Bridge.pulsechain.com is live. So that was when the bridge launched. 2 days before that, the network itself launched. I'm going to take the time to find the actual tweet so that people actually, I'll even paste the link in the chat for people. How about that? Oh God, that exists. 6 billion PulseX burned in 1 day. That is insane.
That's crazy.
Gas prices.
Which is why you might want to own some of that Pulse, because as more money moves in, you would imagine even more gets burned, right? So you might want to potentially obtain that asset before the dollars cross the bridge.
Yeah, dude, you gotta, and Richard always is just dropping alpha right here. Talent hits a target no one else can hit. Genius hits a target no one else can see. Just bars every day. All right,
He's from
pulseburn.com.
Miami. He's from Miami.
Yeah, let's see here.
Did you see Richard
almost
on man, what was that podcast that he was on? Man, he's been on so many, of course, but it's the ones that have these. They had Andrew Tate on it once.
Oh, Fresh and Fit.
Yeah, Fresh and
Did he?
Dude, he
I
was
think he did,
like, I'm
yeah.
from Miami. This is how I talk all around Miami.
Yeah, and they thought he
Miami.
was like trying to like purposely troll and like speaking Ebonics or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was actually really funny. No, I'll go to his profile picture.
It's just how he feels comfortable, I guess. So,
all right, here we go. PulseX.com mainnet is now live. Pulsechain.com mainnet is now live. So there was this tweet. It went live May 12th. If you go to pulsechain.com, right at the top here, you need a MetaMask wallet. MetaMask.com, create wallet. It's even an extension to browsers. You can add it to Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox. Once you've added MetaMask to your browser, you use the info on pulsechain.com. Again, if somebody DMs you this info on like Twitter or something, do not enter it. Always take it straight from either Richard Hart or pulsechain.com. You enter the network name, you enter the RPC URL, chain ID. I think some of this might even populate. You don't even have to enter the block explorer and you're already connected to the Pulsechain network. You can see the coins that were in your wallet when the snapshot happened. So once you've connected your wallet, you would go to pulsex.com, or sorry, app.pulsex.com. And then you'd be like, hex. That would show your balance right here below the asset name. And you'd be able to see, oh, wow, one hex will get me 342 PulseX. Well, how much Pulsechain would that get me? Say you had 20,000 hex, which isn't even that much. 20,000 hex. Okay, that'll get me 6.8 million PulseX. How much Pulsechain would that get me? 20,000 hex. Okay, that'd get me 1.9 million Pulsechain because the ratio, the ratio is about 1 to 100 right now, 1 to 99.1. So 20,000 will get you this much Pulsechain. Ignore, like I said, if you're new to this stream, ignore the numbers because these numbers are not correct.
the dollar numbers.
The dollar numbers, yes. The ratio 1 to 98 is correct. The dollar amounts are off. And I'm going to put 100 in just to drive this point home because I see we have some new. Yeah. 100 hex is worth $1 according to this. And it's Pulsechain equivalent, 10,000 Pulse. The ratio actually, like, it's going to jump around as the market sets the price.
And that's why when people are trading, they have to set up like outrageous slippage because they're literally moving markets, correct?
Yeah. But that 1 cent is wrong because, again, we already went over how there's $30 million waiting to come in and set the actual dollar amount price.
So would you say that the majority of people out there who owned hex and it got copied over, because that was the easier one to actually get copied over because it was like snapshotted earlier this month. So right now they own eHex, and maybe not financial advice, but the move would be to maybe start to obtain some of these other assets as the bridge comes over? Or you think anybody's guess on whether or not eHex is the one that really pops off? Or what do you think with all this dollars coming over?
I am not really sure, but I would be. I honestly, I would try and avoid swapping around. And if you have any dry powder to add to the network, meaning like,
but it's stuck in the bridge.
Oh, okay, that's true. You're saying
like,
now.
I'm saying like now, right
okay.
now,
right
tonight.
Now. Okay, if you had any ERC20s or hey, did I have a wallet that had some Shiba Inu in it? You would go to pulsechain.com, connect the wallet, check to see if there's Shiba Inu in it. If there is, then you had it during the snapshot on
I wonder
May
if
10th.
is there a way to check if Pulse Shiba Inu has liquidity right now? Or Pulse Pepe coin?
Liquidity. See, I don't want to connect the wallet, but liquidity, earn farms. Right now, the pairs are mainly the dollar, the assets connected to a dollar. There might be like a minimum to show up on this list because the numbers are going to be wonky right now. But this is just providing liquidity for the different transactions on the chain. So that's not something I wanted to get into this stream. That's a little bit more intermediate or advanced. I just want to make sure people know how to acquire the asset and not put all their marbles in one basket. But this is probably where it will show up when what you're looking for is there, Tim. If that
Okay.
you know, you can pool PulseX with it, you can pool Pulsechain with it.
So as of right now, everybody's waiting for the bridge to open. So
Exactly.
So like once the bridge is set up, which might take like another 4 days here for the bridge to actually be really allowing good, decent, timely transactions through it.
Yeah.
So you might, in the meantime, let's say you want to bring fresh fiat into the market. How would you say people should do that?
Yeah, there are ways that I wouldn't recommend, but on Twitter, there are a lot of help voice chats where prominent figures in the Hex or Pulsechain ecosystem, they will host them. So they'll make sure that the people coming up to speak aren't, you know, hey, DM me and all, blah, blah, blah. Like they're not going to scam. But I have seen people eager, just trying desperately to get their hands on Pulsechain, wrap Pulsechain. They're like, oh, you know, send you money, you send me this. Like, I wouldn't do it that way unless like it's your brother or mom. Even then, like it's a trust trade. Like you send them Ethereum, they send you Pulsechain if they already have it on the network. If you don't know anyone that has any Pulsechain on the network and you want to trade an asset for it and you didn't have any ERC20s, you're going to have to wait for the bridge. One of the bridges. I heard there's another one in the works that they're working on. But again, there's no way around it. There wouldn't be $30 million jammed up to pump into this ecosystem if there was an easy way around it, you know, or if there was a quick fix to it, if that makes sense. And then Tandy said, Hart said that a higher gas fee will get pushed through the network faster than another. Someone was willing, they could pay it the higher fees and pay a little premium to be able to achieve 32 mil. I think that's for you can set your how much you spend on gas, and you can get like push to the front of the line in terms of like each block. Let's see. I don't want to try and find that tweet, but let me see here. Did you see that tweet, Tandy? I'll go to Richard Hart's Twitter. We'll address that tweet and then we'll move on to the next topic here. I might just Control F his Twitter, but I gotta scroll down a way so it'll actually load and find it. All right, so I'm gonna search his Twitter for. Oh yeah, here we go.
So you can take fiat and force it through the bridge by paying more, basically flip it.
No, I think that's for regular transactions. I'm not sure if that's for the bridge. Actually, it's Tandy. So the answer is I don't know if that includes the bridge. I'm trying to find the tweet so we can get a definitive answer. I searched his Twitter for a tweet containing gas, and it says I didn't go to the Twitter on this tab that I'm sharing. It says gas on Pulsechain is cheaper than gas on Ethereum, lots cheaper. Why? Faster blocks, higher supply, and lower dollar amounts. Pulsechain has 10-second blocks instead of 12-second blocks. The total supply of Pulsechain is higher. The price in dollar terms is lower. So let's see. Here we go. He continues in the replies. I guess some folks aren't so good with math. I will help. Do you know why people can pay 500 Pulse to send a token on Pulsechain, but they can't pay 500 ETH on Ethereum? Because the supply of Pulsechain is 1 to 1 million, or 1.1 million times higher, 1 to 1.1 million. Obvious, right? Somehow, not some people get that.
Yeah, Richard Hart's just fending off the damn trolls in the meantime.
Yeah, he's so that's not the right tweet.
Did you see what he tweeted 7 minutes ago? Check that shit out.
What did he say? Okay. I'm all
It's
excited.
The picture of him next to the bidet he installed for his mom.
Oh, okay. That's
He
funny.
said the bridge is unclogging, and it's him with a thumbs up next to the boudet, which is a very Elon Musk-esque tweet, if I do say so myself. He is memeing us. The man is literally memeing us right now.
Okay. As I scroll down Richard's Twitter, the tweets above disappear, so I couldn't control F to it. That's funny though. Yep, the bridge is unclogging. All right, let's move on to the next topic. Let's see.
So wait, you were going back to like the original thing where we were talking about was like, where's the pressure at, which is what got us out of this whole strategy talk, right?
The pressure on the price of Pulsechain. I'm going to share that screen right now. Actually, let's take a look at the factors affecting the price of Pulsechain. Present, share screen, PowerPoint. Let me know when you can see that here. All right. So we were talking about the factors affecting the Pulsechain price in the short term, because they're going to be different from the long-term factors. One that we listed was people that missed a snapshot that have been waiting up to 2 years to buy Pulsechain. As a caveat, only 40,000 wallets sacrificed for Pulsechain 2 years ago when that sacrifice took place. So let's rate that out of 10, just so we can put a numerical value. We need room for something that is more of a force. So let's rate that like a 7 or 8, probably an 8. We'll go with 8. Forcing the price of Pulsechain up. What about people who sacrifice? So if you're one of the 40,000 people who did put up, sacrifice some money to receive Pulsechain, and now you want to dump it because Pulsechain is 2 times or whatever, whenever the bridge is fixed, 3 times, 5 times higher than sacrifice prices, they want to cash out. What do you think that force is going to look like? Let's talk about that.
Pushing the price down.
Feel free. Yeah, pushing the price down. Yep, that's a red arrow.
I don't think it's going to be very strong, man.
It's not going to. I don't think that force is going to be as strong as the money coming in.
Yeah, the coins just got launched, and I have some of it. I just need to. I'm going to sell it for my little Ethereum, or I'm going to sell it for what?
Yeah.
Come on.
So
we just talked about how this coin has like the burn mechanic and everything. That's why if you have the access, like the ability to ratio trade your way into this coin, personally, I think this one will be a very strong one to trade into, especially for the forthcoming weeks while that bridge has money moving into it. Because this is the rarest coin where people had to sacrifice 2 years ago to access, and everybody wants some of it because it has great burn mechanics.
Yeah,
and it's the true layer 1.
So for reference, 2 years ago, 40,000 wallets put up money for Pulsechain whenever it launches. They didn't know when it was going to launch. A year later, there was a sacrifice for the not the layer 1 coin token Pulsechain, but the exchange on the Pulsechain network has its own token called PulseX. We'll hit on that next right here, PulseX. But that sacrifice was 120,000 wallets. So just in that 1 year's time, that number 40,000 went up to 120,000. So all those that 80,000 new wallets are people that wish they had Pulsechain because it's the layer 1. And again, not financial advice, but 120,000 minus 40,000 is 80,000. So that just goes to show that's just the first year. Then the last year, there are people who missed the PulseX sacrifice and want PulseX and Pulsechain. And they're probably more focused on Pulsechain right now because they need some Pulsechain to make any transaction on that entire network. So that just goes to show that this arrow, in my opinion, is going to be much bigger than this arrow. The arrow representing the people over the past 2 years that missed the snapshot versus the people who are going to dump. But they might dump fast, whereas the Netflix special on Hex and Pulsechain hasn't came out yet. This demand is going to be building and building and building as people find out about Pulsechain. The people who sacrifice that are going to dump, that dump might be fast and hard, creating an immediate buying opportunity. So the dump, like I said, the dump might push price down fast, but this is going to push price up month after month after month. So what do you want to rate this, Tim? The people dumping that sacrificed.
Yes.
I will add this one last thing. Sorry, I'm talking a lot. The people who put up the $600 million to sacrifice for the Pulsechain launch, they are Richard Hart day one. They believe in him. They believe in the project enough to put up that kind of money without even knowing when it launches. So now that it's launched, I think that they're going to be more diamond-handed than, say, people who are just hear about a project, don't know anyone on the dev team.
Yeah, with people with the Pepe copy.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's no allegiance to these little shitcoin projects. Like whereas the people who sacrificed 2 years ago believed, trust me when I tell you, they believe in Richard Hart. They believe in his projects. They know he doesn't really have. He's not as easily influenced by financial incentives like some people think. He's just going to take the money and run. Like he retired 20 years ago. He was mining Bitcoin when Bitcoin was 50 cents. You know, he's not some guy that just got out of jail without a dime to his name. Like he has much less of a financial incentive to, you know, cheat or scam somebody. And I think that's significant, but you know, you can say everyone's human. So I'm not going to say he's like impervious. He's the God. He's,
well,
you know.
It also depends on like what the price that they could sell at is.
Yep.
Because if they could make 10x their gains, they might say, hey, I'm going to pull at least some of this.
Exactly. So that's why I'm saying the people who sacrificed that 600 million, that 600 million isn't all going to be sold. If I were them, maybe I'd want to take my initial investment out. So say that 600 million at 10x and now it's 6 billion or something crazy. They like, oh, I'm already up 10x. Let me take 2 million out. So I made $1 million, but what if it 10x's again, you know? Then I don't have to worry about anything ever again.
They're not going to really do
So they're not going to pull all of their money out, whereas we don't know how viral this could go. And it's already clogged the bridge that allows assets in. So this arrow, smaller than this arrow, let's give it
minuscule compared to that arrow. That's why if you ratio trade into that pulse, I would say that could be good advice.
You think it's like a 5 or 4? We'll give it 4.
I would almost give it a 2, but
okay, well,
I'm a little ridiculous. But I would almost give it a 2.
The only reason I don't want to undershoot it is because the dump might be fast. So, like, say the bridge speeds up in 2 days from now, it can handle any volume of money, and people are like, and Pulsechain is 15x the sacrifice price. They're going to be taking enough money out that their initial investment's out, and you know it'll probably happen over like 2 days to a week.
Yeah, but like you said, with all that, okay, so if the bridge clears fast, then yes, maybe they'll take some gains and with plans to buy back in at a later time. So yeah, 3 is fair. 3 is fair, but still,
all right.
3 is fair. 3 is fair.
All right, so let's make sure this little guy's commensurate to 3.
So what that means is like the factors that can push this price down from everything we're seeing right now are nothing compared to what's going to push this price up. So take action as you can right there.
Exactly. Let's see what let's add one more. Let's brainstorm. What else? And again, if you're watching on YouTube, Tandy, I know you're honed in. I'm open to any factor you think might push the price up of Pulsechain in the short term. We'll do long term next, and that'll be a quicker, more abstract list. So people who missed the snapshot that want to buy it. Here's one. So the people who bought Pulsechain 2 years ago have a lot of money, forgot about it. If you have enough money to invest 2 years ahead of a project's launch, you probably are fairly well off financially,
and
right?
Fairly bullish. So now with the ability to purchase more of it.
Exactly. People who sacked that want more. And what do you think will give that? I think that might be that will probably be close to the 3, maybe a little higher, because you know, there will be people taking their profits if actually that's going to be determined by the launch price. If it's up 50x from, you know, or if it's right at sack price, they're not going to want to sell.
What's the rate just for everybody who has any EHEX? Like, what's the ratio if you can get it right now for like your P hex to P pulse? Like, what is or your
Hex
pulse?
to 1 to 100. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Okay.
It's 1 to 100. Yep, I can check in a different window, but
And what was the sack like with a sack price? What was that in comparison to like what? So everybody who sacrificed, what did they purchase for?
so
Because-
everyone who sacrificed for Pulsechain got 100 Pulsechain for every penny. So it was 10,000 per dollar. And
Damn.
yeah, so I mean the numbers are high. Just like when a coin starts out, it's usually pennies. But let's put a let's put a number to this arrow. So the factor that pushes price up, the price of Pulsechain up, people who sacked that want more Pulsechain, what do you think? 4?
Yeah, that's a push. Yeah,
The three might be quick, but the 4, people are going to buy, see it go up, buy, see it go up. They'll know the whole time that the price might never go this low again, especially if they release that Netflix documentary that's coming out on Richard Hart and all that's going on.
Is it actually coming out sometime soon? I saw they
I don't know, because I heard they were waiting. It's done. It's been done.
Yeah, they released an update though. They released an update after the Pulse announcement, and they said, hey, we're accepting some type of submissions for like videos of, so like they want to include that.
Oh yeah, reactions during launch. Yeah, they wanted to include people's reactions once. During
hell, man, we might right now be on the new documentary.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be awesome? By the way,
crying, Tim.
By the way, I have seen some documentaries on like Frontline. They have a YouTube channel. If any of you haven't checked it out, and it's pretty interesting actually. But if you look at some of the like Frontline, and it talks about how the U.S. government and all these economies spent so much money during COVID, or during during COVID, that, and they had a bunch of people who were doing YouTube podcasts at the time, and they included them in like the pump for crypto, because they were saying like suddenly with all this helicopter money, everybody had ability to invest in crypto. And it was a bunch of YouTube channels and people's selfies on YouTube going, you gotta buy. And it was people who I recognized and watched at the time. And like, damn, dude, I was hoping that podcast that I had done at the time was on there with the 2 fucking blue characters. How epic would that be? Because that was just such a testament to that time. But anywho, yeah, we could be in that documentary that's being released, but probably not. But yeah, so that even makes it even more hype when that documentary comes out, because they're going to be able to include like, and let's see what happens with this. Bam. That's how it ends, basically.
Yeah. That's
very hype.
You should link me that in the back if you do find it. But so do you agree, people who sacked and want more, we can do 4, we can do 3?
I would put it slightly above what people will sell, because now it's out, man. There's a little more like people who have the ability to sack 2 years ago would probably be like, dude, I want a little bit more. Now it depends on like if the actual dollar prices come through after the bridge and they can sell for 100x gains. Well, they might.
Yeah, then more people will sell. But
yeah, then they'll sell and they'll say, hey, I'm going to buy back in, or at the very least, I'm going to take my W when I can. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. See, this is going to make sense to the people who know what the sacrifice was and the snapshot is. So this is kind of beginner intermediate, because if you're new to it, you might not know that the snapshot even happened. You're just like, oh, Pulse is out now. How are people trading so much on the PulseX without the bridge being up and running fully?
Well, that's what's confusing, is because right now, if we're trying to give a beginner advice on how to get into this market, you might just want to wait for the bridge to establish itself and prices to kind of settle, and then say, okay, from now, you're in a bear market. Regardless, when it becomes a bull market, that the Hexicans are very good they're very good evangelists. So in a bull market, they're all over the place pumping the Hex and the Richard coins. So a new layer 1 during a bull market, we've seen some layer 1s that are total dog shit, and they don't introduce anything new, and they pump. Yeah. So regardless of how beginner you are, no matter what the price is, I mean, wait for it to settle down maybe a little bit, but you're still in a bear market. You should buy it, because it also has burn mechanics that no other layer 1 is really trying to introduce to its user base. So this is great. This is great for anybody, even. But yeah, for the initial momentum right now, I would say the push down price based off the people who sacked 2 years ago and the push up price based on the people who sacked 2 years ago is fully dependent on what they can receive and what they're purchasing it at. For sure.
Yeah, definitely. Can we think of another factor pushing the price down? Let's be devil's advocates here.
How appropriate.
FUD. Okay, here we go. How about this? Fear. Okay, so people don't know the lingo, so we'll say,
fear. Go ahead.
Fear, uncertainty, doubt, or FUD. If you are new to the space, from bridges jamming.
Or maybe just like some of the
price. That's a double-edged sword for obvious reasons, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, because maybe they see that they don't think it's working correctly.
So much assets being pumped in that the bridge jammed. Yeah, it just depends on if you're a pessimist or an optimist, really. But
right,
FUD from bridges jamming. That'll probably be one of the smallest forces.
It could be because of the amount of people who see it and say, "Hey, I'm going to hold off." It could be significant. It could be like,
let's give it a 4 because it's okay. So what's interesting though, if you read between the lines, if you look at the price, the factors pushing the price up, like they're indefinite in terms of like their duration, whereas the factors pushing the price down, like the people that sacked dump and get some money. The people who are fudding see the bridges unclogged. That could happen in 2 days, and these red arrows are gone. And then guess what?
Creates just a better opportunity for all of us out there, because we'll just kind of lose some of the retail market that lost interest after they couldn't follow, and now we get to purchase before their dollars flow in the next time they have the opportunity to do it, or they suddenly lose their FUD about it. So this is actually this is, I think, what you were talking about earlier, where like some of the bridge jamming is actually protecting some of the real supporters of Richard Hart's projects from being like having to pay too much.
Exactly. That is, I mean, and that was, I just heard that in a random Twitter space too. So like, don't sleep on the Twitter spaces. Follow Richard Hart on Twitter if you don't already. He's got the 300 plus K followers. So, because you wouldn't believe how many fake Richard Hart accounts are being like created and messaging people, hey, you having trouble with blah, 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 like trying to be tech support.
Dude, if you look through the comments, it's like, hey, I messaged etherscanios pepecoin@gmail.com and they solved all my problems. Dude, they even gave me a better day job.
They sure solved your money problem, all right?
Oh man, I get $1,000 every single day ever since I emailed this damn account.
Yeah,
$1,000 every single day, guys. Okay. And it's like 15 comments beneath one random person not even asking about that, and they're all mentioning the same Gmail account.
Yeah, it's like they gotta program their scam bots to do better. Just do better.
They don't. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's go back to factors that. Okay. Wait. Hold up. Let's make sure we're caught up on comments. Not positive either. Any factors that would further push the price of Pulsechain up? Obvious. Just so as these factors interact with each other, every transaction, a portion of it is converted to PulseX and burnt. So that's going to drive the PulseX price up, but also drive the Pulsechain price up by creating scarcity. And all the people becoming a validator and locking up $32 million in Pulse's collateral, like indefinitely, they'll slowly earn money and earn Pulse over time. So I'm literally just rattling some off, but so those might cancel each other out, and I don't really have that much room, but what do you think about that 32 million Pulsechain that you have to put up to become a validator?
I think it basically, especially pre-bridge, it makes it very difficult for people to be able to do it, obviously. And I wonder what the validators are making for profit. But I mean, truthfully, as a retail investor, you shouldn't be concerned with it. But as a investor, a Richard Hart maximalist investor, you should kind of think to yourself, damn it, if there was a way for me to earn fees off of the success of this chain, If it was simple enough to do, that would be an
Yeah.
awesome way to do it.
Yeah. Should I add any of those that I just listed off?
I would say
That's a significant amount of pulse, like
I know.
32 million times the 8,000 validators. That's more than the PulseX that's been burnt. Like,
You believe, but all those people have already, if they're actual validators, they already have their 32 million, right?
32. I mean, they can't. It's locked up though, and I don't even know if it's part of the liquidity pool, because the bigger the liquidity pool, the harder the
Honestly,
price is to move. So
if you do add this as a pump pushing price up, I would almost give it a 1. I mean, it's
Yeah,
going to be, it's a
good.
small factor, but there are new validators who will hop online who want to participate in the gains. So maybe give it a 1.
Yeah, I would say, okay, so it's like I would say it's like a 2 pushing price up in the short term, and then in the long term, it's a 1 pushing price down, because those validators earn API that they might sell, right? And that's going to be a smaller force than the actual 32 million that they put up in the moment. That's going to take, weeks or months to make back. So, because I did the math, 32.
By the way, the other thing that pushes price up is you have to list the burn factor here. So.
Yep. Okay. So we'll say burn.
Like the pump metrics of the coin itself are, I mean, I would almost give that a 3 or 4 itself.
Yep. Burnt Pulsechain. And then we're going to say the validator. I don't even know if locked is the right word. Tandy, you've done some research on becoming a validator. Do you know if the Pulsechain you put up becomes locked? I know you don't have access to it. Otherwise, you'd be like, hey, I got 32 million. And then you become a validator, and then you sell it once you get it all set up. That wouldn't make sense, because you have to have collateral.
It's got to be locked in.
Okay, so I don't know if it affects the liquidity pool. That'd probably make a 1 out of 10 difference. But we'll see. Okay, so validator. Okay. New validators locking Pulse. So again, if you're new, every new validator has to put up 32 million Pulsechain to become a validator. So that is going to cause upward pressure on price. I mean, I'm thinking about becoming a validator. Tandy's
Can you ratio trade your way into that now?
Not at the current rates. No, if it crossed my mind,
technically it's possible.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were saying me in particular.
No. Yeah.
I'll give away the details.
Yeah. What's your wallet size right now? No. Generally, is that possible? If you can
it is, yes. If you had a lot of hacks or a lot of Pepe.
Yeah.
Big
I don't even know. Dude, there might not be any liquidity on ePepe right now. It's unfortunate. In fact, it might not be the worst idea just to check it out and see if you can get dude, just this crazy.
Oh, yeah, if Pepe did like a 10,000. Oh wait, no. Well,
dude, what if you could get just a crazy ratio and get 10 million Pepe for 1 pulse?
Yeah, that'd be nuts.
Depending on if it ever picks up over there, but I'm not a big fan of the Pepe meme, to be honest with you. I would almost rather own P Shiba Inu.
Yeah, I just like that it was used to whatchamacallit. It was used to troll certain crowds.
Well, I
try a lot.
Yeah, I respect the fact that it was a meme coin launched and successful in the era of a bear market. Congratulations. I mean, that's the founders of that coin have to be just ecstatic. I mean, because that isn't even original to be a Pepe. Oh, the Pepe meme coin. I mean,
yeah.
You know what? Damn. Come on now. That's not that original.
Yeah.
Seriously. I don't know what their launch strategy was, but clearly it worked.
Dude, it's crazy. I mean, it's like Dogecoin or Shiba Inu. It's like a dog,
Yeah, but Dogecoin has been around since 2013, man.
That's true.
I mean, it's like a meme from the ages, as opposed to Shiba Inu, which just came out kind of like how Pepe just came out randomly but Shiba came out during a bull market.
Put a rank on Burnt Pulsechain. Remember, we're talking short-term factors, so the effect would probably be smaller than 4.
But what about just the fact that it does burn? I mean, the fact that it does burn, it has to be I would give it a 4 again. I mean, it's a pumpometric layer 1.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know.
every transaction, 0.22% of the transaction is a fee, and then a fraction of that is converted to PulseX. A fraction is converted to Pulsechain, I think, or burnt as Pulsechain.
Candyman left a comment here. Let's see here. He says it's locked in, but you can opt out, which takes a little time. But once you jump through the hoops, you can receive your 32 million pulse.
Okay. So again, short term, big push up on the price, because the people who do that, they have money and they're patient. Otherwise they wouldn't want to lock up 32 mil pulse and cash out on the 5 to 15 to 50x it does in the first.
In my honest opinion, I would love to hold 32 million pulse for a long time. So it's like, what's the difference between becoming a validator and not? You know what I'm saying? Like that pulse is still yours.
Yeah.
If you want to own 32 million pulse, then might as well, lock it up.
Put it to work for you. Right. Exactly.
Correct. And make a little bit of burn. Is there any other way, to make money off of holding pulse?
Let me no. Well, I know there's a single way staking in PulseX coming soon. But Pulse, I don't know. I plan on just letting it ride and letting my bag multiply. If my bag gets big enough to become a validator and still have some to, have liquid.
That's what I'm saying. Might as well become a validator. It's like no risk, so long as you actually understand what you're doing. You don't lose that 32 million due to damaging the network.
I don't want this to be a 3 because it's bigger than the burnt pulse. Nah, short term though. We're talking like a month or less. Short term. What do you think? 2 then?
Yeah, 2. It can't be more than the fact. I would honestly say the burnt pulse chain.
We'll go 3. We'll average ours.
That's fine.
Where's
Recoin? Can we have Recoin out there?
Is that an actual thing?
Not yet.
Okay.
We need the marketers of Pepe Coin to get on it.
I'm actually looking at that Twitter Spaces right now. There's a couple with a couple hundred. Oh no, there's just a.
Yeah, but have you been a part? Some of these Twitter Spaces aren't that great.
They're not. Well, but Katie and there was like Jim Rat Crypto, K for K Crypto. Like they all like hopped in and gave their 2 cents. It was good. Let's see.
I do wish Richard Hart would go live. That'd be nice.
Honestly, as a devil's advocate, like I want to make these factors pushing price down comprehensive as well, because that's just because this is short term. So that's just going to show people that even if it is 5x the SAC price, the FUD from the bridge jamming up and all these tweets about like, oh, look at Richard Hart, he spent 2 years and the bridge is jammed. Like, that's someone who might buy in 2 months when they eat their words. When the bridge, like that's someone who might buy in 2 weeks or in 2 days when the bridge unjams and they see the price start to skyrocket. That they might see the PulseX's massive burn and say, all right, I'm gonna get into PulseX, but Pulsechain, I still, they're stubborn. Like, so let's see if there's anything else pushing the price down. The sackers are gonna want to dump.
Maybe.
Oh, okay. No, that's more long term, but it's skepticism over Richard Hart, because they're like, for example, when he argued when he had that debate against Peter Schiff, like Peter Schiff's audience, just because of their boomers and they're older, they buy gold, like they might have bought Pulsechain if they didn't know who Richard Hart was and just saw the numbers behind the launch alone. But they're like, he's flashing his watches, like that's just going to turn 60-year-olds off. The old money.
Like give it a 1 though.
Yeah, definitely. Think of something better here. And then I'm going back.
Well, if I push the price down, is like any hiccups in the network itself, for sure. Like obviously that would be a huge deal. Like let's say there's randomly like overload of the system. Wait, how about this one? High fees, bro. If the system is like,
oh my god, that's huge actually. Yep. Let me add that.
Like high fees as of right now could scare enough people away to think, oh shit.
Fees. Add now. Add now and rising.
And by the way, this is all more reason for true believers to like have a greater price of entry and to enjoy the X gains and
Whoa.
on the other side, because even Richard Hart tweeted out this morning that like if Pulse is working perfectly. The only thing that needs to be done is added liquidity and the
What am I
bridge.
doing? I put this on the red. I'm just gonna copy it.
So, in other words, if Richard Hart says the network is working perfectly, I'm going to take that as these fees that are high right now as you compete to cross are not permanent, but they could scare enough people away or scare some people into selling what they've sacked for.
What fees? The Pulsechain fees?
Just fees in general.
Oh,
like
okay.
the whole network is supposed to have low fees, and as we all know,
it's because of the 1 to 1 million ratio. So like people see that like one Ethereum got converted to one Pulsechain, but that's because of the 1 to 1 million that they aren't aware of. So they're like, what? One Pulsechain? They don't realize that like a Pulsechain is 0.00006 cents. And so when they see the 300 Pulsechain fee or the 76 Pulsechain fee to trade, they just don't have context, which is, it's gonna, as people learn, the more they learn, the more they'll like the system, because the people who made the system know their way around crypto. So the more you know about crypto, like I've seen people who know much, like when I saw Crypto Walrus, he has a math PhD. He was an engineer in the military. He worked on like Black Hawk helicopters, but like just how good he is with numbers alone. I found out he learned to code. I found out he audited Richard Hart's wallet, found out it was connected to 3,000 other wallets, and he was looking for selling hex down and dumping on his crowd. Not a single hex was sold over his 3,000 wallets. So it's like, I couldn't do that type of due diligence just because I don't have the expertise. So I try and find people who act in good faith that were more skeptical than I was. And then if they find something they don't like, then just dig into it as much as I can. But like when I saw people smarter than me auditing and being super skeptical of Richard, just, he would address them easily, like, or they would find something that proved him not malevolent. And I would just, over time, I just opened up to this opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So
that was mainly for hex, right? Because that's the crazy part. Is like as of right now, I don't even know if there's many people who feel like he's doing anything.
It was for hex, but if he wanted to, like he has the know-how, and he's the founder of it. It's like Elon and Tesla. If he wanted to tank the stock price, like
Right.
yeah, he can't, but he could say stuff or do stuff that could tank the stock price. What's nice about this though is if Richard made an off-color joke and a bunch of people sold because they hated him, it's like, okay, you're just hurting yourself, Right. Pulsechain's not going to go out of, because he has like a unsavory political view or something. You're just sensitive. Pulsechain is still layer one with insane integrity and potential. So yeah, I try to keep feelings out of it.
Bullish for Pulse, man. I don't know what to tell you guys.
I know.
Very bullish. I mean, these factors, even as of everything we're seeing right now, I can't determine what's about to happen, but I think it's about to go up in price.
Can you look up the definition of burn and dollar cost averaging real quick? I'm getting the next slide ready. But if you could say that, just because we went over burnt Pulsechain, I don't want to give people my definition. I want to actually like get the real one. Just burnt Pulsechain and then dollar cost averaging. I'm gonna go top off my coffee. It'll be 30 seconds. 1 second.
Okay. Burning crypto refers to a deflationary process that permanently removes cryptocurrency tokens from circulation. This is done to decrease the total supply of a digital asset as an attempt to boost demand and increase market value. By the way, stock market buybacks act as the same function. Isn't that interesting? But yes, that's what burning does. Stock market buybacks, usually they sell the asset back to the market at a certain price after what they've accomplished works, which is by decreasing the amount in supply. So then it goes up because there's fewer to sell. But in this case, burning crypto is a more permanent process. And it does, again, per the definition, burning crypto refers to a deflationary process that permanently removes cryptocurrency tokens from circulation. And it's done to decrease the total supply of a digital asset as an attempt to boost demand and increase market value. So Bitcoin, for example, has 21 million Bitcoins in supply. So you can imagine a burn of a crypto like Bitcoin would say, okay, over the next 10 years, after 10 years, there's only going to be 17 million in supply, slowly burning the. Now, what Richard Hart's done is he's developed a burn mechanic within the layer one that makes it so, like, for example, Ethereum, if you owned it, suddenly the total amount of value is going up because it becomes more rare. So as people adopt the software or adopt the coin, there's less of them to go around. As the users increase, the supply decreases. So again, very, very powerful. And then dollar cost average definition. Let's see here on Google. Let's see. It says dollar cost averaging is the practice of is dollar cost averaging is a strategy that can make it easier to deal with. Let's see, dollar cost. 1 second, it didn't just give its own definition.
Stocks or crypto. I'll give mine while you find the right one. So I would summarize it as instead of invest, say I have $2,000 that I want to invest in Pulsechain. It's new, and I don't want to just in one transaction put it all into Pulsechain. If that's my savings for 2 months of whatever I could weasel away. If dollar cost averaging would be, you don't know if it's going to go up, you don't know if the price is going to go down. So what you do is you put 600 in or 500 in, and then say it goes up, you diligently put 500 more in because you don't know if it's going to keep going up and never see that price again, or it could crash. If it crashes, then you get to increase your position much, much better. And if it keeps going up, then yes, your future investments aren't as effective, but you still had money left over for if it were to go down. So it's like you mitigate against both scenarios. Sorry, go ahead, Tim.
Right. Google says dollar cost averaging is when an investor invests the same amount of money in the same stock on a regular basis over time, regardless of the price. Over time, this strategy tends to achieve as good or better results than trying to time the market. The dollar cost averaging method is when an investor in set amounts over time buys when prices are both low and high, and this smooths out your average purchase price. And dollar cost averaging can be especially powerful in bear markets. So in other words, you can't time a market, but if you buy the same amount over a set period of time, you basically have averaged your way in to a great price. So very powerful tool and investment strategy. And it's also, it doesn't give you a lot of anxiety as opposed to like trying to time the market.
Exactly. Imagine like the price dips 80%, like Hex, Richard Hart's first project, it dipped 80%, meaning if you put all of your money in before that dip, some people could match your position with 1/5 of the money that you put in. And that's kind of, that kind of pissed me off. So if you would have just put in increments, you wouldn't have put all your money in at the lowest point, but you'd have gotten some of your money in at that lowest price when it was down 80%. And that's the beauty and the power of dollar cost averaging. So again, I would, one caveat to that though is transaction fees. So you're like, I'll just put in $20 a day. Well, sorry, the Ethereum fee is $80. So you're going to want to consider that with your cost benefit analysis of entering or buying anything on the Ethereum blockchain. Could be 15. Look at if it's $15, could be $80. It's variable. But yeah, that little caveat. Maybe I'm getting down to the minutia, but this is pretty good. I like this little look. I like the green. I'm trying to play devil's advocate, but honestly, the two factors could be gone in days, and these four factors are going to be there. You know, Ethereum fees aren't going to be, all of a sudden cents. Validators will keep coming in. Pulsechain will keep getting burnt more and more over time as volume increases. Sacrificers will see and become more confident in Pulsechain. It's been in development for almost 3 years. And then the people that missed the snapshot, that's everyone but 40,000 people in the world. So, I mean, these factors pushing aren't going to be gone in anytime soon, whereas the factors pushing Pulse's price down should be gone soon. It's not going to take 5 years for someone to get their initial investment out and dump their pulse that they're receiving. So, Tim, were there any other important ones you wanted to add before we move on to long-term factors? That'll be quick, by the way. Factors affecting Pulsechain's price long-term. Anything at all? Good to share. I think you might be muted. All right, I'll go ahead and move on. Let's see here. All right. Next up, long-term. So short-term, long-term. Control C. We're gonna rank the size of these forces here. So, all right. So instability, burnt Pulsechain is going to increase over time. Yes, it'll put a positive pressure on the price short term. Long term, it's going to be even more because every transaction, there are going to be more and more wallets on the network once the bridge is complete. Every transaction is going to burn Pulse. More wallets are on the network, the more assets are on the network, the more Pulsechain is going to be burnt, and the higher that pressure of the burnt Pulse will be pushing the Pulsechain price up. It creates scarcity by eating away at the liquidity pool of Pulse. So let's see. Tim, I think I hear you coming back. I'm trying to rank these three. So if you're holding dollars in your savings account, inflation is going to eat away at the dollar's value, whether it's 2% a year or 10% a year. Instability, things like
there's no competition between the U.S. dollar and a deflationary asset. The only question is whether or not you have enough.
So even if, and I'm going to say this is not going to happen. I'm not a financial expert, but like if Pulsechain's price didn't move, just from holding dollars, inflation will still mean that you would have been better off holding Pulsechain. Unless you have $80 to invest, and then your Ethereum fees can eat away most of it. If you have more, the dollar, just holding dollars is going to eat away at the value of, at your net worth. Whereas if you're holding something that is deflationary, where some of it's being burnt every transaction, creating scarcity, and you're holding on to something that's becoming more and more scarce, like a first edition Charizard, if you're into Pokemon cards.
Wow.
You see Jake Paul bought one for $5 million, and you could have bought that out of like a pack like 15 years ago.
You know what I bought
dollars?
You know what I bought during Christmas for a gift?
Mm-hmm.
Think about this. I bought a unopened, officially sealed copy of Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Unopened and sealed. There's a company out of Colorado that like inspects copies of new games and basically officially seals them and will send them back to you. And basically it's a verified seal. And guess what I bought that for? I bought that for about $250. So, and that was a cheap price.
I want to call you a nerd, but I used to play Legend of Zelda 4 Swords like religiously on Super Nintendo back in the day.
It was a gift too, so like it had sentimental value, but at the same time, that's just like, yeah, man. The dollar is not a good asset to hold, obviously, guys.
All right,
Now,
so
the push down could be if like crypto in general gets outlawed in certain countries and the total.
well, I mean, okay, so yeah, let's say regulation that is going to like the people with more than couple hundred or $1,000 in crypto though are going to move to protect their assets. But yeah, the people who have a couple $100, like, dang, that law passed, I'm selling. Fine, whatever. Like so, but it's worth mentioning. So we'll say regulation.
Mhm.
I mean, even if you look at the places with the worst regulation, like China, they're still finding ways to finagle.
Right. They used to have a huge mining industry in China,
Yeah, that was
and
nuts. I remember
then they
reading about
outlawed
that.
it, and suddenly the opportunity started spreading to other places, and it was picked up very fast by a bunch of warehouse industry type businesses that bought all the graphic cards to run it, basically.
Yeah.
Good for them. Good for them. Good for them. Congratulations. But yeah,
What do
I wouldn't call it. I mean,
Okay.
it's clearly.
Let's rank these weak dollar / inflation. Again, like if inflation, if it's from 2 to 10%, or like, the other countries wean off the, dollar standard for oil, whatever, we'll just give it 2 to 3. Regulation though, what do you think regulation could do
It would push it down, if anything, and
Okay.
push it down by a
Short
factor.
term, it would push it down, but like, okay, let's give an example. Tell me what you'd do if they passed a law saying that you have to pay 25% tax on any money that you put into uh, Binance, Coinbase, MoonPay, anything. So if a transaction's made in the US and they find out, they're coming after the company starting September, right? Starting September, 25% tax, because they're trying to recoup all this money they're losing, from people sending each other crypto, giving them each other new cars or whatever assets. They can't tax that. So what would you do, Tim, if that law is going to pass in September?
I'd probably buy some more of it right now.
Exactly, bro. But over time, would you end up spending more? Probably not, unless you have so little that it's not worth moving or buying more and investing future effort to find a way around the law. Say, because they probably would, well, why don't we just tax them coming out? Because there's people with already in, like, how they're not going to stop there in terms of regulation. So I will acknowledge that their regulation can disincentivize crypto for people like my mom. Like,
Right.
she's like, it's unregulated, and she's scared of it because we won't go there.
True. So you're saying that might be like a factor of increased demand due to regulation of safety, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're not going to if crypto is a hedge against tyrannical governments, if governments get more tyrannical, smart people with the means to invest in crypto will find a way around it, whether it be immigration. If you have enough assets, just a couple $100,000 is like, all right, I'm going to Mexico. Screw you, or just getting money in to avoid a tax on it going in. Like people respond to incentives. If there's one thing that being an economics major taught me, is people respond to incentives. So they're like, that's the problem with like, we're gonna get political with like liberal policy, is like, they're like, oh wow, 2 billion going into crypto every month, 25% of that is 500 million a month we'll get by implementing this policy. What?
Yeah,
we only got 10 million. What happened? It's almost like people didn't want to give their money away for free, and they got
that's
their money
why I would
before the
say that
policy.
the regulation aspect maybe pump price up, let's say 2, and the regulation aspect maybe pump price down, maybe like
over time, because people might see it as like, once the law is implemented, people who don't want to move might be more deterred from entering cryptocurrency. If there is 100% no other option, which governments are dumb, they probably aren't going to be able to completely prevent you or I from putting money into crypto.
Right.
Like there might be.
I mean, it does, like you're saying, like liberal policies decentivize economic activity to the point where it's like, okay, it overall is a factor of negative impact on price of any type of asset.
Yeah.
price of anything, basically.
They don't understand the secondary effects of their policy, is all I'll say.
Oh, they decentivize everything, actually.
Yeah, and they don't understand that. Like they tend not to, the whole you don't have to get into the whole minimum wage thing and people taking profit, that is you're not going to have your money in this forever. So I'm going to line this up here. What should we put that as? Like we'll say sells. I mean, but if you take profit, like it's very rare that people take profit in a project they believe in and take everything out. But everything in Pulsechain eventually was put in at one point, so it's not going to be the biggest arrow. It's probably going to be like 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to respond to market factors, but we'll just say 4 or 5. What else, dude? Because Pulsechain, people a lot smarter than you or I designed Pulsechain so that it wouldn't, it had integrity, short and long term. So it's really hard to think of these because people that were smarter than us sat down 3 years ago and had this conversation. Let's implement a burn strategy so that over long term, blah, 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 positive price pressure. What would push the price down long term? Okay, I will say we just discussed it. Regulation. Although it pushes price up temporarily, it might prevent some people from entering it. So I'm going to say 1 to 2.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's going to confuse people. And what else? Pushing price down though, that okay, hold on. The regulation, that's kind of wrong because the people, if it prevented people from entering it, that's just people who don't enter it. They're not selling Pulsechain, so there's no real negative pressure on the price, but people that never enter, yeah, whatever. It takes away from the gain over time.
Yeah.
I'm just being thorough. Let's put one more on here just so we, don't seem like eyes wide shut maxis.
Failure of the. Go ahead.
Failure. No, I'll remember mine.
Oh, like a failure of the network. Like, dude, anything like that could potentially lead to so much type of, who knows?
I mean, that's like a all or nothing kind of thing. Well, no, because I'm sure they have.
Yeah, that's true.
Like a 0.05% of being a 10,
That's so true. But I mean, that is a long-term factor. I mean, people get scared that it's just a new concept. So,
worst case scenario, I think that the blocks are saved. So how does a blockchain network, fail? Worst comes to worst, they have to revert to a certain block.
True.
So that would mean that that would push the price down because people would be less faithful in the network. And, oh, we lost 3 weeks of transactions. Some people would be like, oh, I lost money in the 3 weeks, so thanks. Some people would be like, oh, I made money in 3 weeks. So, but there would be a general loss of some faith. So it will be pushing the price down. We'll say 1 to 2. Because Ethereum's been up. It's an improved version of Ethereum. So
imagine. Yeah, man, I don't think this is gonna happen.
I don't either.
But I mean, if we don't want to be seen as biased here, I guess that's
mine was. Oh, what the heck?
It is ultimately a new technology, quote unquote, as they always say, and they've said since 2015, basically. New technology, not backed by the U.S. government.
I forgot mine. It was it's an idea we talked about a long time ago. Oh, yeah. Okay. So loss of funds to scammers. So when somebody loses funds to scammers, even if it's on the Ethereum network, the Bitcoin network, they either could exit the crypto industry completely, or they could be more gun shy about investing in the crypto industry. So it's like,
Yeah,
I'm
they're
gonna
pessimistic.
I'm gonna give it
Basically, a loss
3.
of participants.
I'm gonna give it a 3 because I have lost money in shitcoins and crypto projects. I wouldn't say I got scammed, but like I actually have been rugged. Rug pulling is being scammed, and most traders, have to be resilient enough to keep going after something like that happens to find a truly good project worth investing in. So we'll give that a 3. But honestly, factors affecting pulse price. There's just like it's the best on the market right now. Like, I would say, well, there's the documentary coming out. Let me undo all this bullshit. Documentary, and we'll just mash 2 together. I mean, it's an improved version of Ethereum, and Ethereum worked very well. So there's something there. I mean, these are just abstract long-term factors, whatever. You could leave it there. I mean, that's long-term factors pushing pulse up and down. Let's add these up. 6, we'll go average 4, 2, 3, 6, or 2, 3. It's 15. What is this? We'll say this is like a 4 or 5. That's 19 versus we'll go 5, 2, 1, 8. Yeah. So, I mean, both long-term and short-term, I see more factors pushing the pulse price up, although there are 2 factors that might cause a short-term dip quickly, but there's no way that the bridges being too busy and jammed will last forever. And there's no way that the people that sacked are going to outweigh the people that want in forever. So it looks like Pulse will be a great buying opportunity, especially in the short term, And it will be a good buying opportunity indefinitely just because of its integrity and the proof, that Ethereum offered, like the proven track record.
The deflationary components of it, the lasting aspect of it versus what else you can hold. I mean, the fact that you can compare it to the dollar is almost unfair because it's totally different type of asset.
So tomorrow I will probably hit on PulseX because I didn't realize this would go 2 hours.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm not, trust me. And then over
here,
there's PulseX short and long term, and then I was gonna do PHEX short and long term. I got to replace PulseX with PHEX, but so I'll work on those.
So PulseX is PulseHex, correct?
No, PulseX is the Pulsechain exchange. The X, think of the X as exchange.
Okay, and
Pulse,
then
the Pulsechain exchange.
Right.
And then PHEX is hex
on the Pulse network.
Yep, on the Pulsechain network, and
copied hex. Everybody around probably has copied over on the Pulse network right now.
Yeah, I wonder how many hexagons or how many people that held hex, through the thick and thin, and saw it go from 50 cents to 10 cents, like just forgot about it, and they have it sitting here on the Pulsechain network and could be among the first people to get Pulse, but just don't do it because they don't know they had it sitting here. Oh man, that would suck. Because like you might not have followed whoever made Dogecoin or Shiba Inu or all those any other shit coins that you invested in. You might not have followed the founder to their next project. So, who's to say how many people that liked Hex's numbers because they saw it on, some exchange and bought it, made some money or lost some money and then sold it. And they don't know that they didn't sell all of it, or they saw the price go down and didn't bother selling it. That's the sad story. Once they find out, like, I could have swapped it for my Pulsechain.
Well, it just goes to it goes to the fact of people who really believe in crypto, because if they had success in Hex, they would still be watching during a bear market.
Mm-hmm.
So who's to say? Some people just wrote it up, enjoyed it, but thank God they're not here, because people like you and me and anyone listening right now can enter in at a lower competition price and enjoy more gains on the way up. So congratulations to me, and congratulations to you, and congratulations to the audience out there.
Yeah.
Congratulations, sir. And
I'm gonna do like a let's do a 2-minute preview of what I plan on doing tomorrow or the next day. So we're gonna do what we did with Pulse today. Short-term factors affecting price, long-term factors affecting price. We're gonna do that with PulseX, and then we're gonna do that with P-Hex on the Pulse chain. I'm gonna change the logo. Obviously, I just copied these slides, and then also once we do that, we'll know, is Pulse the strongest, out of the three. Obviously all of them are great projects, but which one's the strongest in the short term, which one's the strongest intermediate term, which one's the strongest in the long term, which, spoiler alert, I think is PulseX, at least in the immediate or long term. I don't see anything outweighing the burn once everybody knows about PulseX. Like, a lot of people that know about Ethereum know what Uniswap is, right? But Uniswap didn't exist when Ethereum came out. And you need Pulsechain to even do one transaction. So the people that are just hearing about it don't know what PulseX is and won't for perhaps, days.
So you believe the biggest value is in PulseX or Pulsechain?
I won't say that definitively, but with the information I have now, I don't see anything long term that outweighs PulseX's buy and burn function. Because if you saw the difference, let me share the other screen real quick. Because if you saw the difference in the burnt amounts of Pulsechain compared to PulseX, I'm like, that is going to grow so fast, so far. I'm going to share Richard Hart's Twitter.
Which one do you think Richard Hart owns the most of?
I don't know. And honestly, he's set for life. Like, with his Bitcoin alone, he only cares about, he said that he's in this for glory. Like, he just wants to beat Vitalik, and, he doesn't, money won't.
Oh, he already beat Vitalik.
Yeah, he did. Okay. So we're talking about burning. There's going to be a bunch of bridge stats, but I'm trying to go past that to like the burn stats. Bridge claimed. Oh, he might have just pasted it in a regular tweet, but
Command F it.
Let's see. If I hit Control F burn, it says 0 out of 0, but that's because if I scroll up, you'll see they start to load because they disappear.
You have to zoom way out, unfortunately.
There's my tech guy coming in clutch.
That's right.
What does this say? There was like an insane amount burnt in a single block that he put as a stat. Well, again, it's not life or death to see this number, but
so which of the coins has the best burn mechanic?
PulseX by far. Look at this. Actually, Pulse, there should be let me see if I can go to Pulse burn.
In that case,
Google it. Pulse burn. Damn it. See, it's not even on the top results at Google. It's so new. But let me search it on Twitter. Because I know they were talking about, like.
I totally agree, though. Obviously, you want to be in as soon as possible into the one that's burning the most.
Yeah, well, but the thing is, if you need Pulsechain and it's a layer 1 and you need it for every transaction, obviously that is going to probably beat out the bird mechanic in the short term. But that momentum might take Pulsechain way high on its ratio to PulseX, but the value is actually similar. So then when that corrects, that snap happens, and it might be wise to rebalance your portfolio to more PulseX heavy. So when that correction happens and the burn starts to actually take place, it's going to be ridiculous. Oh, here we go. Pulseburn.com. Oh, it's making me. Sorry, we're doing some work on this site. See, actually, I don't want to just click random links. I want to click the ones from.
Right. You don't trust that? I don't trust it. Either way, it'll be something. It's a teaser for tomorrow, correct? Or whenever?
Yeah. Teaser for tomorrow. We're gonna go over PulseX long-term and short-term factors affecting price. PHEX long-term and short-term factors affecting price, and that should tell us that we're gonna go over like a crude version of a amateur, not financial advice, crypto scheme strategy where you might want to, so for example, if we find that Pulsechain's the strongest looking short-term, Hex mid-term, PulseX long-term, but you don't want to sell all of any of the three, you just want to rebalance your portfolio or dollar cost average into them over time, what does that actually look like, in terms of 10K? And then say you were to implement a strategy like that using $10,000, if Pulsechain performs on the average of the other major blockchains, such as, Ethereum and, Tandy could probably name 10 of them. And I'll pull up a chart, it's like, I think the average was like 300 something X in 500 something days. What does your portfolio look like, at the end of that? That will be pretty interesting, but
I agree.
I'm going to hit them with the channel intro. And we'll continue tomorrow. I'm gonna pop into the Twitter Spaces, and I think you see how we're on Twitter right now. I might go into the Twitter Spaces and post my link or stream their audio through my computer sounds, like Streamlabs, just like how you could hear my channel intro. Let's go to youtube.com. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for now till I get there. But because then we could listen to the big dogs, the big fish talk about it, strategy. But the thing with that is there's a lot of new eyes on it, and no one's gonna know what anyone's saying. So,
well, thanks everybody. Congratulations to every single person out there in a bear market paying attention to an asset class that will pump. It will pump again.
I'm gonna clip this up. Into smaller pieces, like shorts.
Right.
Because right now I haven't streamed in a year. But Pulsechain just launched, so all right, fine. I kind of have to.
Play the sea shanty song. Play this.
Oh yeah, that was dope. Next time, I'm already on my channel. I'm gonna have to do that though. The old school retro.
That's right.
RS Steams. Let me present it.
Yeah, people are looking for a place where they can go without all the nerds trying to talk down to them. So this is great.
Compliment my video editing. All right, man. Catch you tomorrow if you want to tune in though. I would give this stream, this is mediocre vibes. I think that Tandy stumped me with some of his questions. Actually, there's some really good questions on here. But if you want, I know that a couple of people tuned in the last few minutes. If you click back, we went over the factors affecting Pulsechain's price. We rated them by weight based on some of the numbers we've seen, wallets that sacrificed, total volume sacrificed, factors pushing the price down. Tomorrow, we're going to do that with PulseX and then also with PHEX. And then we're going to go over amateur, I would say investment strategy, but it's not financial advice. So we'll say a hypothetical strategy given the assumptions that we've made. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.
No, I can't fuck with a random hoe. Been telling them headed to Candy. Got a new life, only I can imagine. Not wasting time, never knew this would happen. Watching my step, bitch, I'm blessing. I'm dressing that fashion. These bitches be calling me handsome. I just been making my music. They said I can't do it, but now I'm in kids in a mansion. They being critical, I'm individual. I was invisible, Danny Phantom. They make it minimal, made it traditional. I'm at the pinnacle, covered in phantom. No, they not body to the bottom. This crowd, I drip like a fountain. I'm trying to go platinum. I only rock on my day ones. No one can fuck with a random.